Nate is doing my inner thighs. Getting worried. Okay, let's do this.
Look away.
Look away, yeah.
And then you look at the camera like seeking help.
Ah, Jesus. Don't laugh. See, he's laughing. Jesus. You know, when you laugh, you're trembling. Oh, so people. Don't steam more, man. Because he's doing. Don't steam more my inner thighs.
I'm sorry, I have to be the fixer, okay? I'm sorry.
Okay, breathe.
Breathing.
You breathe every time. Oh my God. Okay. Ooh, that's a good place. But when you turn, oh my God.
You did say 45 seconds.
Your forearm down. Okay, there. Well, Noah talks about being a 5 or a 6, but he's actually a 14, just like Nate.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Being Whole Being Me, series 51. I'm forgetting the number because I have Nanda Kumar, aka Nate Kumar, with me. So welcome, Nate.
Hi.
So welcome to some menagerie and welcome to Infinity Tower and Hearts and Minds, the Relevant Center. So lovely to have you. I saw in the video you were having quite a bit of fun.
Don't worry. Yes, it's not as torturous.
I'm not worried. No, it didn't sound torturous. That's why I'm worried because you went like, so welcome again. I need to figure what you're doing because I thought you were healing, but you seem to be giving joy through your work.
Through pain.
Was she in pain?
No, she wasn't actually. That is actually my teacher, Elizabeth, one of the teachers. And actually, there was a video where we were recapping together. So we were experimenting and that. So there was a few things like you said, like do not steamroll. Steamroll is like you really put a lot of pressure. Actually, for people who just started with me, if those people who ask me, I'll go a little bit on the lighter touch. So don't worry, I shall test on you later. And you see, understand.
I say I need to get a table ready so that I can lie down on the table.
And she's sitting down also once.
Okay, now let's get on to the show. So Nate, thank you very much. So I met Nate, when did I meet Nate? Through Clubhouse.
Yes.
And he's become a really good buddy. Even though he tried to make a sister out of me.
Okay, there's a backstory.
No, okay. All right. So we've established that we are friends now.
Yes.
And hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Gerald. You know Gerald, right? Gerald says, good afternoon, Mother and Nate. Great topic that is so important for our daily well-being. Yeah, you see whether you need to fix Gerald or not. Elizabeth is my good friend. So I met Nate at Clubhouse and I think we really connected well after we got through this brother-sister thing. And he's not just inspired me, but I love your passion for well-being and how much you dig into understanding a person holistically, right? And so and it's so good. Just for those who have just joined us, Nate is from KK. And he has just moved to KL, which means that he's accessible now to everybody if you want your body to be worked. Now, for that, we need to actually now figure out what does Nate do.
Okay.
And so tell us your story. So tell us a little bit about how you got into, this space of body work.
All right. So for me, I started with, I used to work a lot in the restaurant. So it was like, I had this philosophy of play hard, work hard kind of philosophy. So, and yes, I was a very heavy smoker. I was a heavy drinker in a way. And it took a toll on my health. And I realized until when I'm going to be like this, So of course in life, when you take a bold step, there's a lot of doubts that come to you. So for me was I realized like if I want to live a healthier life, maybe I have to do something in the industry. And when I stopped, and actually it's more interesting, I end up going to India. I volunteered myself in a holistic clinic. So I learned with one teacher. And it was very interesting. Like every day we had like about 50 to 80 patients who come to the clinic. And then from there, I learned like hands-on with patients over there. It could be as simple as low back pain to cancer patients. And actually, my lesson there was pain, do not judge. No matter what status you are in society and all that, everyone faces the same pain, no matter how. And I realized that actually people take advantage of health. You know, there are some people who pay people to keep their health in check. But actually, that is one thing I realized that actually health is very important for yourself, and that's what. Just imagine from drastically from I never take care of my health to 360. I must figure out what's the best way. So India was one of the paths. Came back to Kota Kinabalu. I saw this ad at the ad, and they were posting about what is this core facial release body worker. There was a course, and I learned from the founder, the creator, actually, the creator Noah Carey. She's from the States, and he was teaching about things about fascias and all that. But it was very, very fascinating, and I realized that okay, this is something I want to learn. So I was very lucky. I learned level 1 and 3 with the creator. And actually, Elizabeth, which is in Kuala Lumpur, she's mentoring me. I mean, recapping the lessons back, and that's what I learned.
She's the one in the video, right?
She's the one in the video smiling a lot.
Yeah.
So that's what. Then I realized that okay, I love this. I'm gonna make a career out of this, and because for me was to teach people the empowerment about having health in your hands, and it's actually possible. So everything under the umbrella of holistic, that is what I believe. So, and
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
that's it.
Okay, Nick, two things, right? I picked up. So one is you said, when you met people in the clinic, even through the work, the volunteer work that you're doing in India. Now, one of those things you said is don't judge.
Yeah.
Right. So I seem to be hearing everyone has pain, so don't judge. However they come in, you say don't judge. So what do you mean by don't judge?
No, it's like sometimes people just think that, oh, I'll pay this and my health will be revived.
You can't buy health with money.
Yeah, it's just like that. It's actually health is really in your hands, like this one. And and that's the thing. And you could see people's perception about health because seriously, people just like, oh, it's okay. Like as simple as I have a migraine. It's okay. I'll pop the Panadol, the medication, and I'll be fine. Of course, short term, but long term, it affects you, your digestive system. It makes your muscles tight. It gives you something. It makes your head a little bit more empty in a different way. So because it's drugs, right? I'm not saying do not take it as a last resort. That is my philosophy. I'll find every way how I can heal naturally. So I mean, an example of as simple as Panadol. I'll tell my friends, why do you take?
Can they sue you because you keep using Panadol?
We'll edit this video.
It's going like so. Nate, what you're saying is this, right? So everybody experiences pain for whatever reason, which we're going to go into. And when we experience pain, what you're saying is that don't take shortcuts, right?
Yeah.
Because for every action that you take, there's a reaction. So what you're saying is that if we become dependent on chemicals, which is drugs, right? And we're not mentioning any names at this moment. It has got impact, right?
Yes.
And what you are doing is that you are helping us to go to the source of the issue and heal our body with our hands, as you do.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's introduce our audience to your magic word. I've never heard of this word. Sudala, I didn't do well in science, but so my kids are pretty impressed because now I know a new word. Because we've heard of, we go for massage therapies, right? We go to traditional massages. That's something that we use. But you don't seem to be massaging, right? But you,
Yeah.
you seem to be working on certain points, and you call yourself a body worker.
Yes,
What?
it's a body worker.
No. What does a body worker do?
On the body. Okay, just to explain. All right, so just think of this way: massage therapists, chiropractors, physiotherapists, or movement specialists, whatever. We do anything that we work with the body. So that is like the bigger umbrella. But what I do specifically is called core facial release, body worker.
Core
Facial
facial
release.
release. Okay.
Body worker.
Mm.
Right? So what I focus on is the fascia. So this fascia where it's like this whole substance, this sticky web that actually envelopes the whole body actually. And what I do is sometimes when it's a little bit rigid, it doesn't move that much. Okay, so what causes the fascia becoming very tight is not much.
We've got a picture. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that is if you see the picture on the left, that is a microscopic level where it shows that it's like this chaotic web that envelopes the whole body. So if you see the example on the right, the picture is actually the skin, and then the muscle is below. So when you open it like that, actually that is that endless web, the chaotic web.
So will I be correct in saying, so Nate, that's an interesting picture. So will I be correct in saying these is the, if you eat chicken, I mean vegetarians, I'm sorry, right? But if you're a non-vegetarian, when you're cutting meat, right? When it's chicken, so you see this plastic jellish thing that sticks the meat together. So we also like that if we cut ourselves open.
I mean, I haven't seen that yet, but I assume the anatomy is almost the same. But if you see that slimy part, that's right. And actually, what happens is if you don't move enough, right? What happens? It becomes a little bit rigid. So my role is actually what I do is with breath, movement, and touch, right? With touch, I make it less rigid. I'll try to make it move. So, example.
Breath, movement,
and
touch. I forgot the touch. Okay, hold on first, right?
Yes.
So if we understand, so fascia is literally that holds us in form. So because we're 70% water.
Yes.
Right? So and if we think about our body form, imagine your whole body in a basket.
Yes.
Waterproof basket. And that waterproof basket that's holding us is known as fascia.
Yes.
Correct? And what you're saying is that this fascia is the one that allows us the agility and the flexibility to move. And what you're saying is that when we are under stress, this fascia becomes rigid. So it's not so flexible.
Yes.
So it becomes tighter, inflexible. And when you experience inflexibility, that's where you experience pain. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And what you do through breathwork, movement, and touch,
yes,
you release it back to its original form. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Now, so before we go into how you release it, right? Because you've brought in 3 things that you do. What happens if I live, because some of us think we're very strong because we learn how to live with the pain, right? So what happens if I learn how to live with the pain? And what happens to my body if I learn how to live with the pain?
Okay, so sometimes we are conditioned. There are some people who are like, every day I work hard, I hustle and all that. And then they don't realize that the muscles, even their thinking are a little bit like tight or narrow. The thinking is narrow. And they won't realize, but until they have a session with me, what happened is I'll start to press and say, oh, this is very tight. Let's try to release that fascia part, And all of a sudden, it brings back to their body to be aware of the body. So actually, when we have a session, it's actually very interactive. You have to be a little bit more present. What's this? Presence, right? And what happened is like they'll start to realize, oh, I didn't know my body was that tight. So just imagine this analogy of you have a lot of tight, right? So fascia is like this, a lot of rubber bands, tight rubber bands within the body. But interestingly, let's say example, stress. So usually in general, shoulders are very tight. Okay. So it comes back to like the emotional part. I think we taught this before, the fight, flight, freeze, and flop. And actually what happened is in the primal time, it actually helps us to run away from a lion or attack the lion like that. But in the physical world, we don't see that. We do not see that. We still find it as a threat. And what happened is the fascia become rigid because of daily posture, because of daily thinking. And what happened is if you're in the session with me, I'll just press the three things. I'll just press and try to release it. And then from there, the client will come to me and goes, oh, so this is what you mean releasing the fascia, or this is what you mean to have more breath. This is what you mean to have more movement.
Hold on.
Yes.
So I need to understand this,
Sure.
right? So one is when the fascia, there is the healthy condition where we are flexible and we're not having. So if we are healthy, we're not supposed to have pain. Would that be a fair statement?
You to eradicate pain at 100% cannot be. It can reduce. It can be managed.
Okay.
Because
but generally, pain means a part of our body is struggling or suffering.
yes,
We agree on that,
yes.
right? So we want to be painful.
I have to agree with you because I'm in your domain.
No.
I'm just joking.
Bad joke. I'm trying to keep on track. So now, so sometimes what you're saying is that some of us are not aware of the pain because we could have pain and we take quick fixes like a painkiller. So we may not be aware of the pain. Doesn't mean the pain is not there. And how do you identify is your tightened muscles.
Yeah.
And through fascia core release, which is what you do, you basically release maybe the tightened part of the knotted part. Is it knotted or tightened?
It can be knotted. It could be tightened.
First tighten the knot.
It's random actually.
Okay. So tighten knotted, you release that, and when you release that, we get back our agility,
Yes.
flexibility, movement becomes better because when it's tightened, then it restricts our movement, is what you're saying. Correct?
Yes.
I got that right. Now, what I want, and you did say that the reason it becomes tightened is because generally the word stress.
Yes.
So when we're stressed and when we don't feel safe, we go into fight, flight, freeze, and flop, right? So you explained that. So when we are stressed, our muscles generally tighten, right? And when we are not aware, the tightening gets worse, which is where then when it's really bad, then we look for people to release it. So tell me, in non-technical manner so that I can understand. So if I come to you because I'm having aches and pains here, right? If I go to my traditional Malay massage, right, therapies, what she will do is she'll say, oh, you've got so much of air, and she'll, I can feel the tightness, and she'll release it. She might burp, I might burp. So we know something's happening, right? So when you're releasing the core fascia muscles, right, whatever you're doing, which we will go to, what are you doing to the fascia?
Okay.
Yeah.
So because fascia it doesn't move, so it becomes very sticky, right? So what I do is, remember the three things that I do: the touch, breath, and movement, right? So what I do is I'll try to make it move a little bit more. Would you like to have an example?
A little. Hi, Hannah.
This is not like I'm doing this evil movement, but
I know, I can see that.
Right? So that's why just imagine like your whole body consists of this very, very tight rubber bands. And my role is to untangle those rubber bands or make it a little bit more movable.
By
these three things.
Touch,
Breath.
movement, and breath.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not sure. So Gerald is asking. So let me just read Gerald's comment, right? Yes. Gerald says, no, first, health and well-being is wonderful, but one needs to put effort and work into it. Going back to basic is key. You agree? Okay, he agrees, Gerald. And then, hi, Hannah. Hannah Halim has come to say hello to us, darling. I love that you guys are talking about this, says Hannah. More people need to understand the role of fascia in their muscle restrictions. Nicely put, Hannah. Hannah was one of our speakers in the past. Now, Gerald is asking an important question, better answer, okay? Nate, what causes Oh my God. Is it
Okay, fasciitis. Yeah.
okay? Pronounce it for me.
Okay. Name what causes fasciitis in the body?
Fasciitis.
Litis.
Fasciitis in the body. What are the symptoms of tight fascia? So what is fasciitis?
I don't know. Maybe I need to Google because I scared I interpret. But I assume it's the same also as fascia. But our answer is, what are the symptoms of tight fascia? Usually people will come to me and say, "Oh, I like," because they say like, "Oh, what's the symptoms?" Actually, we don't see symptoms. But example is a person has headaches, right? Like really, really bad headaches or migraines. So I'm just going to go a little bit technical on this so that I hope I can answer you. So what we do is we try to release around the jaw and then around the neck, right? At the side of the head, we try to release it. So this is our tight fascias. There is a technique where we actually use some jaw technique to release this. Very interestingly, I'll come back to fight, flight, freeze, and flop, right? When we're angry or we don't want to speak much, like we want to say, but we don't dare to say.
Like what I'm feeling right now.
Yes, because
Okay.
geram,
Geram.
when you're angry, if you notice, our jaw will go back,
Okay.
right? And if you do this often, usually what happens is it tightens around the nerves, around the lymphatic, around the neck area. And that actually, the cause and the symptoms is actually created the migraines. So usually when we try to release here, release the jaw through fascias and all that, next thing you know, you're like, how come I can speak deeper? How come I can breathe deeper? How come I feel my neck is more released? So these are the things. So I hope that helps.
Oh my God! Hold on.
So that is a sign, the very detailed one. But Gerard, I can help you. Gerald, sorry, I can explain in detail. Maybe you can be my model, and then I'll show it to you.
Okay.
So
okay, I want to ask whether male models have to take off their shirts and all that.
Okay. My session where I learned from Noah Parrish, the creator, he taught in a way, he says this because the body is already in a state of tension. So he realized he's been doing it about 40 years. He realized that the person is already stressed and you ask them to be semi-naked, right? And then they'll feel a little bit more shy, like I don't want like that. So he says that we still can do it fully clothed. And I believe that also because I'm trying to find a state where I can have that safe space, that trusting space. So that is very important. So I that's why I like this philosophy about it. Kritina, can you put the 6-pointed star, please?
Okay, so basically, if you have need services, then you're safe because you can have your clothes on as well.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about this 6-pointed star.
Okay, so just a little bit technical on the core fascia release body worker. What I do is, so I want to show the illustration of this image, so I think you guys will understand more. So I don't see symptoms, I don't see anything, I don't see like migraines or headaches or some emotional trauma. I don't see that. I just think of this way. This is a very simple philosophy. How do we stretch from the core, from the middle, and stretch it 6-pointed star? So how do we stretch the shoulders? How do we release the neck? So there's a bottom one in between the legs. That is actually how you lengthen from the tailbone. Okay, so we focus on the core first. That's what makes us different as a body worker. We focus on the core. A little bit more technical is we focus on the psoas muscle, right? Because we hold a lot of emotions or reaction and it sticks towards the psoas. So guys, if you do have tightness, low back pain is usually if you release from the psoas, then you realize that, oh, that's where it comes from. Psoas and actually from the diaphragm. Okay? Because I realize this, if you notice that if we focus a lot on breathing and we release that in between the lungs and the diaphragm, we give that open space in between. And then all of a sudden, like I said, they can breathe more, they can move more, they feel more clarity. And that's the idea.
Nice.
Thank you, Ketan.
So neat. So two things, right, you brought up.
Yes.
One is where the symptom appears and where it's starting could be different. Like when I have a migraine, you said migraine, right? Just now, the example of the migraine. I could be having a migraine, and what I usually do if I have a migraine is I'm going to get a head massage, right? Now, having said that, the example that you brought up was that the tightening of the jaw because you're holding back emotion, right? So, and of course, anything to do with emotion, I'll jump at it. So when you are holding back yourself, that's basically because you're stressed and it's not safe for you to express what you're feeling, right? And when you hold back, and that's where you're saying the tightening happens, where the fascia tightens up, right? And I think Hannah Halim put up, I need to pronounce this, fasciitis, okay? It's inflamed fascia. That means your fascia is inflamed. It's not fun. Had it on my foot. What can I do when I get that after wearing heels all day? Hold on, don't answer, hold on. So we know what is fasciitis, and I want to go to what Dr. Thayan Sridhar is saying. Dr. Thayan is saying body keeps every emotion memory in fascia. So what's happening? So this is where the emotional memories are stored, is it? Oh my gosh.
It's actually a little bit. I'm not sure also. I have to check on it also because I'm a bodybuilder in more detail. But I think another way to say it is actually in every cell, actually emotion.
Yeah, exactly.
Every cell.
Exactly.
So that is like literally everything.
But that's also the idea of fascia because it's holding your parts together, right? Because it's in between, it's layered, right? So, and if and Dr. Thailand is saying that if body keeps, I know body keeps memories because a lot of us think our memory is here, but I do know for a fact now from the studies that I'm reading is that all our emotions are stored in every cell of our body. And what is interesting is Dr. Thailand is saying that it is kept, if it's kept in the fascia, so that's why it's tightening, right? Like what you said, the tightening of the jaws, right? And what you're doing is when you release it, you release the tightness so that we can go back to movement, right? And so basically holding emotions in our system and staying strong tightens us up. Would that be correct? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll come back to Hannah's question, but Gerald is asking a difficult question, clever question because he Googled it. He said superficial fascia, which is mostly associated with the skin. So superficial, deep fascia, which is mostly associated with muscle, bones, nerves, and blood cells, and visceral fascia. So he's talking about 3 levels, and he's asking the question. I read the above. Should we work on all 3, or which is important?
Because you cannot see it by levels because it's, how do you say, okay, if you can imagine when you open a rind of orange, can you see that? So it's connected to everything. If you bite it, so just imagine those interesting strings inside of that orange that holds that whole rind of that orange. So you cannot see by levels. You see by it's connected, right? So example, I'll just give you another interesting idea is usually people who have very tight shoulders, what happens is just imagine my t-shirt like this, right? It usually what happens around here as well. Okay, a little bit more technical, around the pectoral muscles. We get stressed, we hunch like this. So just imagine everyday habit. Driving on your tablet, on your driving, or you have a deadline. Your neck goes forward. What happens is these muscles will go shorter and you pull like that. Remember that idea of
you want me to pull for you?
Tight rubber bands.
I pull for you so you explain. This side only.
Both sides also pulling. So what happened like this? So just imagine your breathing capacity of your lung is shorter, is smaller.
So this tightness that I see is actually happening. It's happening in the body.
Yes.
So you're shrinking now.
Yeah, you shrinking. Your posture like this. And what happened? This shoulders goes forward. This the trapezius is going forward because that's a part of us also the fact like this flock part also. And what we do is actually through body work, through my body work. Is slowly I open up the pectorals, open up like this, slowly do around the neck, slowly release around the cranium here, around the jaw, and next thing you know, the person can look better, see a better view of things, can breathe better, and then they can feel better. So posture. So what we do also, we help also with the posture.
So, one of the I think I've shared this you body brain body mind connection,
Yes.
right? So one of the literatures that I read was that our form, our physical form. So any form of your physical body, when it's not aligned, when it's not the way it's supposed to be, just erect and straight, right? Your shoulders and all that. Sometimes when we look at people, we realize actually from the back, the structure is not straight, right? So does that mean that we probably have ignored and got used to a body structure? That means, and your fascia is tight, and you begin to use that body form, and that becomes your body form. Is that what you're saying?
So you're saying that how it becomes tighter with that posture.
And because some people, if you a lot of us are not straight.
Yes.
Correct. Some of us will have our head front or legs in front, right? So when you actually see people walking, you see that we are not straight. The whole body is not going together.
Yeah, so it's a little bit forward.
Correct.
Especially if ladies wear high heels again.
No need to talk
They
about
look
ladies.
forward.
Just talk about people, okay? Right. So does that mean that that structure that you're talking about? Are you saying that that could be or that is our tightening of our fascia? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it can be. So what I do is, okay, they're a little bit forward, same thing. Put the shoulders back, stretch that. Okay, they could be also very tight quads. You release that, hold it and release. Because you imagine you're sitting down a lot, hamstring, the one back of your legs, they get shorter and shorter.
Huh?
Right? Yeah. Because of the fascia, it makes it tighter. That's why stretching actually helps it to lengthen and move it more. Yes. I know. I learned a lot from you actually. I have to be in a good books as well. Right.
Wow, that was powerful. I wouldn't have thought the hamstring shortens.
Yeah.
So the way you physically are on a daily basis, your body adjusts itself to that structure. And that structure, like the sitting down a lot, that structure may not be useful later because you need to do other things. And if you're spending a lot of time sitting, then your body, your fascia adjusts itself. It contains the body to that structure.
Yeah.
And that's why it creates other pain. So tell me if that's the case, right? Because a lot of us spend a lot of time sitting.
Yeah.
And not a lot of us do enough movement nowadays. Neither do we exercise. So I hate to say it hurts me to say it, but yeah.
Well, a nicer way to reframe your mind is just say movement.
Movement. We're not moving enough, right?
Yes.
Now, so for those who are listening and who are caught up in a job and they say, but what do? I need to sit 8 hours or 10 hours because that's part of my job, right? But before we even can go to what they can do, how do you know? So if you look at yourself in the mirror, how do you check on a structure that your structure is okay?
Okay, example. So like for you, you work 8 hours, 7 hours sitting down straight, right? So this is where I also teach or guide people on the tools and be aware of the body. There's a reason why we have pain. When we have pain, it's actually a sign that it tells you, okay, you have to do something. But a lot of people ignore it because, I have to finish that deadline. I have to sit down for 3 hours straight to move this. But if you reframe yourself like, okay, do I time myself 30 minutes? Do I time myself 1 hour? I do some movement.
Nice.
Simple like that. Shoulders, stretch. You can find a lot at YouTube how to stretch on the chair. Simple as that, right? But we ignore this. It's natural, okay? Like for me that day, I didn't realize if you follow my post, a friend of mine just snapped a picture of us. I didn't realize I was on a deadline doing some paperwork through my computer. And I myself also forget. I saw the picture, I was like, oh, my neck was moving forward like this, and I was doing my work like this, and my eyes were glued. And even for me, I tend to forget. But actually, if we are sensitive enough, we are aware enough of the movement of the body, go, hey, I feel a little bit strained. What should I do? Oh, okay, I should relax, take a break, walk, move. If not, you cannot afford. I mean, while you're holding the mouse like this, you can just stretch your neck. Like that, like this, and you feel some relief. And then you feel very tight in your fingers while reading, you just do simple things like this. And this one actually helps through fascias. Yeah, simple as that. Yeah. So I hope that helps.
So what you're saying is that be aware that if, especially if your lifestyle is sedentary or your work is like that, be aware which are the muscles that become tightened, and because it becomes tightened, include simple movements on a regular basis. And you're saying every half an hour.
I mean, it can be half an hour, it can be 1 hour. But the idea is you don't want to feel soreness or tightness all of a sudden. So what you do is just stretch. And if you see me, then I'll teach you a specific stretching exercise, or just see me for a bodywork session.
But beyond calling everybody to come to work on their body, but hold on first, no marketing here. Now, I can see you're excited. So why, I know they should come to you, but right now, let's answer Hannah's question. She walks around with her heels.
Okay.
So don't tell me not to wear high heels.
Yes, because you guys look beautiful.
Thank you. Okay. So what to do and how does she heal herself?
Okay, so fasciitis, inflamed fascia, not fun. Had it on my foot. What can I do when I get that after wearing heels all day? Okay. For me is how to explain this. Do more stretches because usually people who have high heels, right? In general, what happens is it's a lot of strain around the toes and the
because your body is
so you just imagine you're standing like that. Okay, so one of the ways that I teach, go to the stairs like one level, and what you do is you just put your toes on the edge of the stairs, and then you just do simple stretchings like that. It will help to stretch your calf. I mean, I want to show you, but I think it would be obscene showing my whole leg here.
No, your leg is okay. As long as you don't ask me. You can.
It's a bit obscene.
No, it's not. Your leg, right? Not mine.
So, example.
Right.
I'm doing this only for you, Hannah.
Okay.
Okay, so just your chair's so high.
Hey, don't say.
Okay, so
okay, that's good.
Okay, I hope you can see. Okay,
yes, can.
Very good. All right. So just go to the tip like that. I think because it's easier to teach by image. Okay, so you go like that, and what you do is you just stretch and do this up and down. What happens? It helps with your arches. It helps to release some tension here, right? It helps to stretch your calves too, right? And you do this, and one thing I like about Noah, he explains very interesting. When you do this often, he likes to say this word. It's like juicing the joints.
Oh.
And he says that to give more life to it, to give more energy, to give more space. So if you do that often, next thing you notice, the pain, the soreness will reduce a lot. And this is where I come again. That's where you can manage. But of course, come and see me, Hannah. Easier.
Okay, he wants all the women. You better invite Gerald.
Women and men, actually.
But so far, you're just inviting women, but never mind. Gerald says, I'm not sure whether it's wise for you to say it, but you've said it. He said, best is not to wear high heels.
No, they look beautiful.
Okay, so I'm not going to say anything. I let the women who wear high heels deal with Gerald. And so basically, you're saying the pressure is on the toes. So you do this exercise to strengthen your toes. Is it?
You can strengthen
to exercise movement for your heels because your heels are not moving.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so clever. See? Brilliant. Okay, so tell me one more thing before. It's already 12:45. Before you show us how it works, before you work my body,
yes.
right? You said that when you are working on the muscles, you do breath, movement, and touch.
Yes.
So let's go one by one. Okay. Explain what do you mean by you use breath.
Okay, so if you see someone who's very tight or stressed, what happens is talking about breath first, right? You'll notice that breath is not deep. Usually you go like.
When we're stressed, we have short breath. Okay.
If you want to see people a little more for the elderly, also it's a good example when you see the elderly. Their breath is also not that deep, right? They go like.
Sure.
Okay, so the idea is very simple. This is called a deep breath. Okay, and it helps to relax also the nervous system. It helps to relax the muscles. So it's like just hearing that sound and having that action, breathing in, and then exhale. And if you do this for some time, you'll notice that you become calmer. You notice that you feel relaxed. You notice your voice also becomes deeper. Another way also you'll know someone who's stressed, their voice is also a little bit high. And why is that? It's because there's a lot of muscles here that's tightening up. Yeah. So that is breath. So we go to the second.
So can we go to the
second one? Movement, right?
Yes.
Okay, so movement, pretty simple, any kind of movement, right? Because like I said, we sit down a lot. Like I said, we don't move often. So as simple as going for a walk, as simple as doing some kind of exercise. And exercise is not necessarily like something is very drooling. Walks are good. You can do a sport that you enjoy. Things like that.
Just move.
Just move. Simple
just
as
do
that.
it. Just move.
Because our body is meant to move. We're not meant to sit in front of a laptop or TV or a tablet. That's why we have a lot of modern day problems. Yeah. So you just imagine, like for me, I have someone who comes and see me once a week with the same issue, and they say, "How come I have this?" I say, "Okay, if you take away driving, if you take away screen time, if you take away TV time, how would you survive?" It's a little bit hard, so that's why you have to catch yourself.
So while we all need to do a bit of TV and a lot of laptop because it's part of our work, if we are aware and we incorporate movement, then we don't have to see you so regularly.
Yes, I'll teach you some self-remedies, self-healing techniques.
So you don't make the problem so bad. Basically, move regularly. If you move regularly, you don't need native working on you every week. Okay?
Yes.
So now let's talk about touch.
Okay. Right.
Let me see this. Let's talk about touch.
Right. Touch is it can be many meanings. Okay. For me, touch is actually very important. Of course, this is my profession. But as a simple, not talking about about body work or anything about me. As simple as a hug. It's actually very powerful, especially when you get, someone who's very sincere, who's very open, and you go and meet them, and they just give you that one hug, right? And you feel so relieved. You feel like, wow, I didn't know there's such a thing, right? And actually, that helps. Okay, if you see like animals or even like for us also, hug is actually a very good remedy. Actually, hug is actually a very therapeutic. So I think there's like a research, like if you hug 30% a day, you have like good dopamines and all that. My research might be wrong, but all I know is when you have more hugs, you feel good.
I know one research, one hug needs to be at least 20 seconds long.
Oh, okay.
So that releases oxytocin.
The feel good hormone.
Yeah, because a lot of us hug, and this is why I love it, right? So when you hug, you just do the, not even touch and go, I call it the smart tech hug, right? Yeah, and the touch and go hug is like, okay, right? But what we're looking at is the interaction that we have at the toll booth where you hold and enfold the person for 20 seconds. So because I've read this, I asked my children to hug me for 20 seconds because I need it.
They're probably hugging and they sing the time.
No.
Yeah, I'm done.
So I do the counting. I do the counting, right? And so Nate, this is interesting for me because I was under the impression that this is what you're working. So tell me whether I've understood you correctly. Breath. So when we're stressed, our breath gets shorter, which is why you need to check in with yourself to see how you breathe, right? So when you're stressed, be a bit conscious and breathe deeply, or practice breathing deeply, naturally, so that when you are stressed, the stress doesn't get to your body, is what you're saying. Okay. Now, so breathe well, So if you have shorter breath, generally, if you're not breathing well, then your fascia gets tightened. That's what you're saying. The other one is lack of movement. Your fascia gets tightened, so move more. The third one you're saying is really very interesting, right? Lack of touch, because a lot of us live in isolation. A lot of us also live in a space where we think we don't need love, right? And touch here is for me equals to love, right? And that's the touch you're talking about. And if you're not getting enough love, enough expression of love, you will also tighten up.
Yeah.
Wow.
So everything plays a part. Everything plays a part. So just imagine, okay, someone who's very tired, they don't have enough touch. So a big umbrella touch. So if I tell them, okay, try to take a deep breath, the body won't allow.
Wow.
They'll just and some of them wouldn't understand what is deep breath exactly. And sometimes when some clients come and see me and say, okay, this is what deep breath is, I won't tell directly because, of course, when they come to you, of course, it could be like some skepticism. They come to you like, is this true? Can it be done? Already they have that mindset. So they already narrow themselves, right? It's normal. Anything new, anything that's, okay, what is this? Then I'll slowly go through the between the diaphragm, between the ribs and the diaphragm, and I'll go inside, and then I'll just try to go inside and pull and give that space in between. And all of a sudden they go, whoa, I didn't know there's such a thing. And then from breath, so just imagine it becomes like this ripple effect. From breath, they go like, wow. And just think, that person who had a narrow view, all of a sudden they go, I didn't know there's such a thing. And then all of a sudden their vision, like maybe like they become very focused. All of a sudden they could see like, I don't know why I can stand taller. I don't know why I can see things in a different view. So everything plays a part. And you have to remember also the perception of the emotion. Maybe the first emotion goes, skepticism. Is it true? What's that word when you go like is it not discuss? Another word like the kind of emotion like you sure?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. All of a sudden they'll get a little bit confused because the mind has changed, the mental side. They go like, oh, I didn't know I could do this.
Right.
I didn't know my body could do this. And for them, they'll go like, oh, this is what everyone means. Because we always say, oh, deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. But a lot of people don't experience deep breath. And then they'll go like, oh, this is what you mean deep breath. And that is where it's like a breakthrough for them, for their body. So there's a lot of complexity of what I do. But I just want to give credit to Mala because she also taught me. Mala, sorry, I'm nervous about it. She taught me a lot about understanding raw emotions. So when I interact with my clients now, a little bit more different, a little bit more refined. So because I see also the emotional aspect. But now I see verbally the emotional aspect, how do I talk to them? But I try to see also how the body also reacts.
Okay.
So while talking in this.
Nice.
So yes, I know you're ready. Yeah, getting ready.
No. I'm nervous because I want you to. So it's good for us to demonstrate and for me to get free body work for one part of my body. But before I do that, Ramana Durga is asking, why don't you speak in Tamil? You look at Chinese and Malay. Ramana, I'm not sure whether this is for me or for Nate. But I'm going to address this because this is our show. This is my show. Why don't I speak in Tamil? Well, we are running this show in English so that we can reach out to more people. If I speak in Tamil, which I'm not very good at, I can't translate all of these jargons in Tamil. And I really think that there's amazing Tamil content that you can find on the net. Right, so we want to do something and we want to do it really well. Would I love to speak in Tamil? I would love to, but really, I can't do justice to the content. In fact, we are trying to bring in this content in Malay if possible because we are Malaysians, right? And we want to reach out to everybody, and every Malaysian should know Bahasa Malaysia. So what's the next language after Bahasa? Is English. Now, unfortunately, a lot of us when we go into higher education, we get information in English, and English is the first level of information that we're getting, and we need to be accurate. Now, can you imagine if we ran this in Tamil, even if I like to, and if I say something wrongly in Tamil, 3,000 people will come and shoot me because I said it wrongly in Tamil. So that's why we don't do in Tamil. And we are reaching out to a certain group to create more awareness. But thank you very much for giving us your comment. But I would say that these things are available in Tamil. I've researched it, so you can actually find this in Tamil. All you have to do is fascia in Tamil, and you will find it, because most ancient wisdom art, that whatever that we're doing in the modern stuff comes actually from a lot of ancient wisdom, and Nate himself will tell you that he learned it from parts of it from India. And yoga is amazing where movement is concerned, and it incorporates all of this. So if you want in Tamil, I would say let's go to the original source where people actually are telling you the right thing. And and I wouldn't want to risk giving misinformation by trying to speak in Tamil. On a daily basis, can I speak Tamil? Not a problem, Ramana. So Ramana, thank you for that. When my Tamil gets good enough, perhaps I'll do that, and that's one of our aim. But if there is a chance, I want to go Malay first, Bahasa Malaysia dulu, because we're Malaysians, right? And all Malaysians speak Bahasa Malaysia. So that's where we like to go next before we do Tamil. Right, thanks Ramana for that. And Nirmala says, great tip, Mala, got the evidence. Please for that. Oh, you're asking for evidence, just Google a name, got 20 seconds. Okay, but when it comes to your husband, ask for longer, right? Gerald says, 20-second hugs is great, lots of positive energy. Yes. And if you want to extend it to more than 20 seconds, all the
Yes.
right. So, Nate, are you ready? Okay, so Nate's just going to show how it works, right? So now, if you're gonna check, right? You're gonna do it all. Okay, so help us understand. So how do you? So with your healing touch, with the touch that you do, because it sounds quite ridiculous that you're actually healing me with the touch. So explain to us what you're actually doing, and so that audience can actually know what you're doing. When you say healing fascia or releasing the fascia muscles, right? Help them understand it.
Right. So I'll start with, because I'll be talking also about self-healing. So how is it? Okay. So you have tight shoulders. What you do is you just slowly rotate your shoulders just back. And then after some time with breath, you just do that. You'll notice that it's not so tight. Your neck becomes a little bit more straighter in a way. Okay. But of course, with me, it'll be better because I can gauge, I can see the reaction of the specimen, of the person, of the kind person. Right. So, example, like I was talking about fight, flight, and freeze and flop, right? I think Mala has spoken about this before, right? So, why our shoulders get tight? Because, example, you have a deadline, you have this X amount of people to finish, and what happens is your shoulders goes front. It's actually priming your body to run towards the animal or opposite, but you can't really go against your boss or something like that, example. So anyway, so there's a muscle called the trapezius. So it looks like a diamond from the back. It sticks from the head, sticks from the neck towards the sides of the shoulder.
Would that work?
That's okay. No worries. Okay. I think Jera can help me Google it. All right. And then from there, it goes back. It goes a little bit rounded towards the middle back. Okay. So this muscle actually helps us to run better so that our hands can move. Okay.
I'm going to do this. Yeah.
So what I do is, of course, with the three things. All right. So obviously, her shoulders are tight because I think she's very stressed because of me. I think it's the opposite. Right. So what I do is I just press inhale. So okay. So what I do is
you're asking me to inhale, right?
Yeah. Whoa. So like for us, okay. So I see her reaction. You can see, okay, it's a bit tight. Her face is crouching like that. I say, okay. Then I slowly talk to her. I say, okay, just take a breather. I'm gonna touch here. Okay, breathe in, and then breathe out. So if you notice, it's a bit interactive. Both of us have to be in the present moment. And then breathing in, then breathing out. Okay. And then I'll just release. How do you feel now?
I'm supposed to say better, right?
Yeah, this. It's okay. All right. Anyway.
It is better. Honestly,
Okay.
it is better.
No, so I'm just saying example. Okay, so by touch.
But I think you need to
okay.
do it one more time.
Okay, so by touch. Okay, so it's a good sign when they ask you to do back at the same spot also. That means like something is moving, something is shifting.
Yeah.
So what I do is, okay, so that was breath and touch. So next one is movement, the third one. So breath, so breathing in. Okay, breathing out. So I'm using my touch. So I'm pressing it downwards actually. And I'm loosening that band, that rubber band. So again, the fascias.
Oh.
Okay, and then breathe in again. And then breathing out. Okay, so next one, like I say, if you saw me did with the shoulders to rotate like that, but instead I'm doing these three things. I'm asking her to move the shoulders. So just move your shoulders a little bit. Yes. Okay. And then from here, I'll ask, okay, rating from 1 to 10. So by right, we're supposed to ask, okay, 6 is the maximum pain point. So what's this number that you rate?
3.
3. Okay, so I'll ask permission again because we are creating a safe space for the client. So I say, okay, can I go to 4 or 5? Is it okay? Usually she'll say yes lah because she's at the camera. But
Yes.
in because even this also I'll know also the characteristics of the client itself. Some of them they go all the way to 12, go all the way to 9. But the idea is I want to create a safe space, and the idea is I don't want to hurt them, even though they say they want this to be taken out. So that one also is a personality also, because they are the type of personality of like do or die, clear it, take it out, because
Yeah,
they've
take
been
it out.
into it. But what I do is I do it in a very gentle movement. Inhale, exhale. So if you notice, I'm also breathing with her. I'm breathing in and rotate the shoulders back. Right? And then that's it. And then we inhale. So what's this number now?
I feel it's a 4.
Okay, good. And then I
Wow.
just release and then just relax. Okay, so I'll ask them another question. So before this, what was that number when I pressed first?
I thought it was a 3.
It was a 3. Oh, I mean the relief. Huh? So this is a 3. So what's that relief number now that you feel?
It means
Has it
after.
reduced?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay, so what number is that?
I want to give it a 1, but I'm going to give it a 2. lah.
Okay, so it's like that. So that's a very simple example. So this is what I do.
Nice.
So it's a very interactive, it's like in the present. So I'm also in a way also guiding the client to say, okay, this is what's happening to your body. Notice how you feel. And of course, we do all of this through fascias. So
Nice.
that is a very simple example. So I do usually from the middle, the core, the diaphragm, then the psoas, which is also the fight, flight, freeze, flop muscle, the stress muscle, because it all accumulates there, right?
Yeah.
And then the 6-pointed star, if you saw the pictures that Kitana showed just now. So the idea is to lengthen you, to give more breath, to give you more, like, I don't know, positive vibes. Simple as
Open
that.
you up, lah, basically.
Open you
Because
up.
you become closer.
Yes.
Nate,
Yes.
you just did 1 point for me, right?
Yes. I have to do the other side because what happened is we're consist of both sides. The other side will start to merajuk. But why I did that also, so I want you to feel the difference one side and the other side.
Okay, but I get you to do it. That's
Yes.
why I turn the cameras off.
To finish
But
the
my
session.
question to you is this, right? So in a session, so one is if people want to contact you, you can contact.
Alert from Google password.
That was my PA. Now, so you worked on one side. I know you're going to work on the other side. Now, so when people come to you, how long does one whole session take? And you work on almost.
I mean, there's a 5 series session.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is I observe Mr. Consultation. I ask to say, okay, have you went through any type of therapy? Have you went through any injuries? What is the pain? So it's a lot of interaction.
Diagnosis lah.
The diagnosis lah. And then I say, oh, okay, I have the shoulders. But usually I'll focus on all the body parts. But one session will focus on one particular side of the body. But usually the first session is breathing.
Right. And how long are your sessions?
Usually, it's not more than 1 hour.
1 hour over. So if someone comes to you with an issue, the stipulated time period for recovery, it depends on the issue.
Yes, it depends. But usually, what happens is, just example, like if they join me for the 5 sessions. So, example, the scenario is they probably starting when they come and see me is weekly. Then after that, it'll be bi-weekly. Then after that, maybe the 4th session, 5th session is like maybe 2 months or 3 months. And usually, because it's very interactive, usually we give them homework after the session. Example, tight shoulders. I say, okay, why don't you do this shoulder movement to help to release? And
Okay.
then come back to me. And then they'll be doing something even off the session. And then they'll come to me, hey, Nate, I realized my shoulder is released. But I noticed something else. Oh, how come my chest is tight? Then we'll focus on that. So it goes like that.
Nice.
It's
nice.
very intuitive in a way.
You're listening into what is the requirement for the moment, and you are helping people to deal with it. Number one, probably you're doing the initial releasing and relieving. So relieving and releasing, and after which we also have to do the work like what Gerald said. Like you can't buy health. So can you just go and work on your health? Is what you were saying, right? And at this, nice last question for the day. Pastor Panir Paul has come in. He says, hi, Malar Nate. Great show. Thank you. And he says, are these treatments curative or preventive? So do you cure people or do you prevent something?
Actually, very good questions. I don't see that because actually I see everything.
He said good question and then he dismissed it. All right,
No. Because a lot of people have this idea of, oh, if it's migraine, I have to do this. If it's stress because of work, I have to do this. It doesn't work that way because I don't see in that perspective. I don't see in the perspective of illnesses. I don't see in the perspective of this one. I just see in the perspective, how do I align? Can they breathe deeper? Can they move better? That's all. Yeah. So basically, if you think about it, I'm actually giving them the path to how to have a holistic, health lifestyle. That's it.
So, but don't you think then what Pastor Panir is saying, is it curative? Does it cure or does it prevent? Doesn't it do both? Because I come to you with pain, which means that I have symptoms, right? It means there is a health issue for me, right? There's a pain issue for me. So you sort of begin to help me with, getting cured, right? And if I follow a lot of things that you say, which is breathe, move, and touch, right? You get love, and if you move and if you breathe well, life will be happening around you. There will be stress happening around you. But what you're doing is that you are dealing with it on a regular basis so that you can prevent major diseases. You may not prevent the little pains because that's part of life, right? But you will be able to prevent major disease, which is just any healthy advice that people give you, right? Okay. So you see, Pastor Panir, you were right. It's both.
She answered it for me, so thank you.
It's both curative and preventive. But I think what Nate is saying is that, because he started off the session saying that you can't buy health, you need to be present with yourself so that, you take in the feedback the body is giving you and work on it, I think is what you said. But
I mean, it's like this. The body has its own understanding, right?
Intelligence.
Its own intelligence. So if we give it a chance and be patient with it, it does a lot of amazing things.
Nice.
But you have to be patient. That's the thing.
Because the body has been patient with you to hold the pain for all these years, right? Is that what you were going to say?
Yes, thank you.
The body didn't give up on you, so don't give up on the body, is what Nate is saying. So Nate, before we leave and before I do my final summary and we say goodbye, any parting wisdom from you, body worker?
Just be patient with yourself. Actually, healing. If you give it a chance, healing, it does a lot of amazing things. Don't shortchange it, because coming from a person who never took care of his health to now I am a person who goes like, oh, actually you can do this, actually you can do that. And it becomes like a wonderful journey actually, if you just be patient with yourself. And you realize that, hey, how come like this? And for me, like the biggest compliment someone comes with, Nate, that day you said, oh, just breathe more, move more. And all of a sudden they'll be very happy. I mean, it can be as simple as, I'll give you one example. There was one lady who had high blood pressure. And how did I know her? How did I access was when she was looking at me, her eyes were looking left and right because she was internally stressed about something. Long story short, it was the dynamics of the family. And I gave her the most simple remedy. I told her like this, every day, because her house was near the park. I said, every day what you do is you just go to the park, walk 2 rounds. And there's something about looking at the sky and looking at the trees. I think it's the color, but it's also, I think it's the nature because you're out of that environment. And actually that one actually helps you to calm. And after a week, she came to me, she said thank you, and she said her blood pressure went down.
Nice.
So simple as that. So give it a chance. Be patient and you'll see that.
And these are not out of the world.
Yeah,
These
that's
are
the
like
thing.
simple things that, our grandparents would have told us, but we don't listen. Now we have to pay Nate to tell us and work on our body. So, Nate, thank you very much, for joining us today. Really lovely to have you in KL. You have Nate's contact information here. He's on Facebook, so we'll put the connection. We'll also put up some TED Talk on Fascia for those who are interested. But, as we end today, I want to thank everyone who's joined us and given us the feedback and, has listened through. But I think you would agree with me, we've been bringing a series on health. The stuff is simple, we need to look after ourselves, but for us to look after ourselves, we need to listen to ourselves a bit more, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally, right? And today, even though Nate was talking about working on your body, which seems physical, but it's really interesting to know that our facial muscles tighten when we hold back, all right, when we are stressed, and when we are not expressing what we feel because we are a whole system. So with that, I want to thank Nate, thank everyone who's been here to, being here with us, supporting us. Thank you very much for joining us every week or whenever you can on our Being Whole, Being Me series. Today is Good Friday, so for the Christians who are observing Good Friday, so it's not a happy Good Friday because today is the day Jesus died. So if you're not a Christian, don't wish people happy Good Friday. It's a meaningful Friday, blessed Good Friday, because Jesus died today. So for those who are observing Good Friday, hope you have a blessed Good Friday, meaningful Good Friday. And until I see you next week, have a beautiful, meaningful Easter. Right? Easter is a sign of hope. So with that, I say thank you and have a great, great weekend. Stay safe until I see you next Friday with someone who's going to tell us something so basic as sleep science. See you next week. Till then, stay safe. Bye.